welcome to Morning Trade with Money Control. I'm Nandita Khemka, and I'll help you navigate the trading day with actionable trading strategies, a sectoral trend, as well as we'll take up your queries that you send during the course of the show. But before we do that, let's take a look at how the global handover is panning out this morning. Well, Wall Street notches solid October gains. Dow clocks its best month since 1976 and it gains nearly 14%, snapping a two-month losing streak. Meanwhile, Fed's two-day meeting kicks off today. The central bank is widely expected to hike rates by 75 basis points. Now, Asian markets are largely positive this morning. Nikkei trades flat with a positive bias. South Korean markets clocking in gains to the tune of 1% or so. And SGX Nifty is hinting at a dash at 18,200 level. European markets end higher despite inflation and GDP painting bleak picture. Eurozone inflation soars to a record high of 10.7% annually in October, up from 9.9% in September, pointing to further pain for the 19-member bloc. Also on the show today, how will auto sales pan out for the month of October? Will festive cheer boost motown sales to record? Also, stocks in the spotlight today will be L&T, Tata Steel and Axis Bank. Well, autos will be reporting their October sales data today, and to discuss that and a lot of demand trends for the auto sector, we are now joined by Nitin Agarwal of Money Control Pro. Good morning, Nitin. Good to have you on the show. Well, things are looking up for autos. Now, this will be the best festive season ever for Motown. In fact, I have read a report which said that automakers have sold 8 cars per minute this festive season.
Yeah. Well, definitely, this festive season brings some cheers to automobile companies. These companies had been struggling quite a lot for past 1.5 years, primarily because of the severe shortage of semiconductor chips and the pandemic. But now the things are looking very, very positive for the entire sector across all these segments. So yeah, we believe that the festive is going to bring cheers to all the companies. Yeah.
Now, there's been a strong demand for SUVs. Both Maruti and Tata Motors have said that they have clocked a 40% jump in sales in this festive period. But what about passenger vehicles? Are they also geared up to report their best festive season?
Well, definitely there has been a subtle change in the customer preference in terms of choosing the SUV as compared to entry-level segment cars. But what we believe that the entry-level segment cars are expected to register a robust growth primarily because of the demand coming from the tier 2, tier 3 and the rural areas. If we see the monsoon, it was normal this year, and the rural sentiments are very, very positive, and hence we can see a strong uptick in the entry-level car segment as well.
Right. So you're saying that there has been a strong pickup in the rural demand as well this time around?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And in fact, if you see the players in the rural area, for example, Maruti reported a very strong growth in the last monthly wholesale number. Hero MotoCorp, on the other hand, also reported a 2% growth over a highways. So we believe the demand from the rural area is very, very strong. And in fact, if we see, there has been a full recovery of economic activity post the pandemic, and there has been significant easy availability of the finance. So we believe the demand from the rural areas and the tier 3 cities is going to be very, very strong.
What about the trends in tractor sales? Have they picked up or are they still lagging?
No. So if we look at the tractor segment, what was happening with the tractor segment that in FY21 and the middle of FY22, they registered a very, very strong sales growth and the very strong numbers. And on the second half of the FY22 and the first quarter of FY23, they had the very strong base to register growth in these particular months. But when we look at the last month number, both Escorts and Mahindra reported a very strong set of number. In fact, their growth on a month-on-month basis got doubled actually. So with the normal, monsoon level and water reservoir level and good crop production expectation, we believe the demand for the tractors to continue at least for the next 3 months.
Right. When you speak about entry-level vehicles, do you think that has also seen a fair bit of uptick this time around?
Yeah, definitely. So everything again comes down to the demand coming from the tier 3 and rural segments, primarily on the back of the monsoon. So the demand for Hero MotoCorp has been significantly gone up. And if we see the Hero MotoCorp has gained the market share also. So the demand is there. But of course, if we talk about the urban areas or the tier 1 and metro cities, there has been significant change in the preference for example, for SUVs, as we mentioned earlier. And if we talk about the Eicher Motor, which sells the premium vehicle, premium two vehicle, it also clocked a very strong growth in the last month. In fact, it registered a growth of around somewhere around 145% on a year basis. So of course, so the metro cities and the urban areas and the tier 1 cities are moving towards SUVs and the higher end bikes, whereas on the other hand, tier 2, tier 3 and the rural areas are moving towards the entry level segments. Yeah. So both the engines are firing as of now, if we can say.
Well, auto is firing on all cylinders, and of course we've seen the chip shortage issue also easing off. So in light of that, any other risk that is emerging for Motown going forward?
Everything looks very positive right now for all the auto companies. There were two risks. One that you highlighted, that the severe shortage of semiconductor chips, which is now waning as the many auto companies have found their alternative source of suppliers. And second is that auto companies were facing was the commodity cost, but now it has started softening, and the impact was clearly visible in we see Maruti's result and the Bajaj Auto result that they posted. So they registered a expansion in their EBITDA margin. So these two risks are out of the way right now as we see, and we believe that this could be continue to be scenario for the next for this fiscal, in fact, FY23. Yeah.
You know, when we talk about auto sales jumping on a year-on-year basis, when it comes to festive sales being picking up, but when you look at the current month, like the month of November, do you expect the sales momentum to continue this month as well?
Well, the current month could be little muted or subdued, primarily on the back of significant sell that has already happened in the month of October, and the companies will try to reduce their channel inventory in this particular month before filling it again for the year end sale. So I believe that November could be little subdued and muted, but December could be a very strong month.
Right. Since you also track Airtel, Nitin, just want to get in a question on that stock, because it kind of reported its earnings yesterday, and it saw a strong 30% QOQ jump in profits. In fact, revenues were boosted by the average revenue per user that jumped to 190 rupees. What was the key highlight from this telecom major in the quarter gone by?
Well, definitely there's one main key highlight which we have been tracking for last 2 to 3 years for all the telecommunication companies. Since the entry of Reliance Jio, there had been very significant price war among all the players. But now, since every player wants to increase their ARPU, and they've started taking the price hike. If we see the Airtel numbers, and in fact in the Jio also reported a very strong set of numbers. So Airtel reported, as you rightly mentioned, an ARPU of around 190 rupees, which is very strong. If we compare on a year-on-year basis, it is a growth of around 24.2%. And in fact, if we look at the ARPU, what is driving the ARPU is the high value customer and increase in the proportion of the 4G customers. So in this quarter, the company had a 66% 4G customer as compared to 61.5% in the same quarter last year. So there has been a significant increase in the 4G customers, which are high value, high margin customer for the company. Apart from that, their Africa business continues to be very strong. And what has been a driving force all the telecommunication companies is the structural change that the pandemic has led. And the impact continues despite the waning impact of the pandemic, primarily because the companies have adopted hybrid models. So people continue to work for 2 to 3 days from their home. They continue to consume more data. Now we all are used to consuming more data as compared to 2 years or 3 years ago. So yeah. This trend is very positive for all the company. In fact, if we look at the EBITDA margin of Airtel, it came more than 50%, which is very strong for the company. Yeah.
Right. Thanks a lot for taking out the time and joining us and speaking about the auto sales as well as Airtel's quarterly performance. We're now joined by Jay Thakkar of Anand Rathi Financial Services to take stock of the market technicals as well as talk about stocks that will be in the spotlight in today's session. Good morning, Jay. Good to have you on the show. Let me first begin by asking you about the Nifty. Well, that has broken the 18,000 jinx and has managed to shut shop above that in yesterday's session. In fact, even the SGX Nifty is hinting at a strong start and a dash at 18,200 levels. Do you think the Nifty will be able to defend this level going forward?
Very good morning to you, Nandita. Nandita, there is a slight correction. I'm with Marwadi Shares and Finance Limited. So I hope that that correction is made. Thank you so much.
Sure. We will make this correction. Sorry about that.
And as far as the index is concerned, the Nifty definitely, it closed above this 18,000 mark. I mean, since a couple of trading sessions, we have been seeing that, markets opening higher, and then, we were seeing profit booking from the higher levels. But then eventually, since past two trading sessions, or maybe, in yesterday's trading session, we saw a good breakout right in the morning at the start of the trade above the levels of 17,900, which really helped Nifty to move towards 18,000 and finally close above those levels as well. And we saw aggressive writing at 18,000 call. And thereafter, as the day passed, as the Nifty moved toward 18,000 levels, we saw good writing at the lower strikes at 17,900, 17,800 until 17,700. And that clearly indicated that the probability for breakout on the upside is higher. And then since today Nifty is opening above the levels of 18,100 now, so I believe that, the shorts are likely to will be running up to cover their shorts and about 18,100 now. That's the important level to watch out for from here on. I mean, that would mark a higher top, higher bottom formation on the monthly charts, and that would break the lower top, lower bottom formation that was happening on the monthly charts. That clearly, as per the Dow theory, reverses the trend from Dow to up in the medium term. Hence, Nandita, I would say that 18,115 on the spot will become a very crucial level. If Nifty manages to open about those levels and sustain, it would be a fresh medium-term breakout as well on the charts. And if we see on the closing basis, data, then Nifty has never closed on a monthly basis above the levels of 17,800, 830. So yesterday we had a monthly close. I mean, we had an October monthly close, which was quite positive, of course. And on a closing basis, Nifty has clocked all-time high. And that's a fresh record on the monthly charts. So that clearly indicates that a trend is up. From here on, 18,115, above that 18,300, and eventually 18,600. These are the levels which one can watch out for. And now on the immediate basis, on the lower side, 18,000, 17,900, and the final support is at 17,750. I mean, these are the levels. I mean, if these levels are held on the lower side, the trend will continue to be positive. As far as the Nifty Bank is concerned, I mean, 41,500, and that's the level to watch out for. If Nifty manages to close above 41,500 in today's trading session, then Bank Nifty 2 is likely to inch higher, at least till the levels of 43,000 going forward.
Well, those are the levels to watch out for on the Nifty as well as the Bank Nifty. Talking about specific stocks, L&T reported a solid set of numbers on the back of execution tailwinds as well as order intake. The stock has been in a steady uptrend. It has given returns of over 20% over the last 6 months. With the stellar show in the second quarter, do you see more upside on this counter going forward?
Definitely. I mean, very, very good numbers, and this was expected. I mean, the kind of open interest build-up also, which we saw yesterday, the street was expecting good numbers, and I mean, the company has delivered also. I mean, we saw a good amount of open interest addition, about 7 or 8%, and then we also saw a good breakout above its previous swing levels, Nandita, above the levels of 2,000. I mean, that was the level which I was watching out for, and about 2,000, the next target on L&T come 2,100. 2,150. I mean, these are the levels to watch out for on the immediate basis. And now, 19,965 on the lower side will be a very crucial support. I mean, till that level is held, the overall trend for L&T will be positive for at least 21 to 2150 in the short term, that is on immediate basis.
Right. The next one I want to talk about is Tata Steel. It saw an 80% slump on its Q2 profit. Revenues were also pretty flat, and the slowdown in key economies, geopolitical issues, and of course escalating costs have hurt the steel giant's second quarter earnings. Now, over the last month or so, this stock has seen decent gains, but in the recent past, it has come under pressure. Do you expect more downside now that it has it has reported a pretty disappointing set of numbers in the second quarter?
But as far as the technical structure of the Tata Steel is concerned, I would say that the overall trend as of now is sideways to negative for sure. I mean, until the levels of say 105 to 110 are taken off decisively. I mean, 105 would be the first level wherein it would give the first indication of a trend reversal, and above the levels of 110, it would definitely confirm the overall medium to long-term trend, and that would reverse from down to up. Till those levels aren't taken off, convincingly, I would say that Tata Steel would be trading within a range of 110 to 95 on the immediate basis. And if it breaks 95, then we can see further slide at least till the levels of say 90. So as far as the this sector is concerned, we saw a good comeback by JSW Steel post numbers. I mean, if whether the same can happen with Tata Steel or SAIL, I mean Tata Steel as of now it doesn't seem so. Only a breakout above 105 could lead to 110, and thereafter more higher levels. Else it can trade sideways to negative. Hence, I would like to avoid going long on this as of now.
Right, avoid going long on Tata Steel as of now. But moving on to the next one, it's I want to talk about Equitas Small Finance Bank. It has reported a stellar set of numbers. Profit has jumped over 180%. In fact, disbursements and advances have also been pretty strong, above the 20%, has clocked growth of over 20% or so. The stock has been in an uptrend over the last 5-6 sessions, if you see. Do you see more upside on this counter going forward?
There is a very high probability, Nandita. As far as this chart structure is concerned, I would say that on the immediate basis, 96 is the level to watch out for. I mean, till these levels are held on the upside, we can see 109, and thereafter, we can see 117 as well. So Equitas trend is positive. It's flirting around the levels of 200 DEMA. I mean, if once it managed to cross those levels of say 101, 102 on an intraday perspective, it could inch towards 109 immediately.
All right, the last one on my list is Axis Bank, and the stock has clocked a nice 30% uptick on a YTD basis, but it has been a bit volatile over the last 5 sessions. We also have reports that Bain Capital is looking to sell somewhere around 1% stake via block deal today. What is the setup looking like on the charts for this one, Jay?
The setup is absolutely positive, Nandita. I mean, you see the move on Axis Bank prior to its results. I mean, the street was expecting good numbers out here. This is the first private sector bank which I saw, forming a good uptrend. And also, prior to its results, there was good long formations. There was good price action wherein we saw good momentum build up as well. And the stock, had been positive for almost 5 to 7 trading sessions. It moved from 730 to its, important levels of 820. Now on the lower side, 820 is a very crucial support, and since that had multiple swing resistances, and above those levels, 860 would be a good support. So the short-term support is 860, 820 would be a medium to long-term support, and I think overall medium to long-term trend for Axis Bank is absolutely positive. I mean, this is one of the clearer setup in entire private sector, banking segment.
Right, let's now shift focus to all the viewer queries that we've been getting in this morning, and there's been quite a few. Before we move on to that, I want to tell our viewers to send in any queries that they have with the hashtag AskMC, and we will have them addressed by our expert on this show. The first one is coming in on Tata Consumer, and it is sent by somebody called Prabhu, and he wants to know the long-term view on this stock, Jay.
The overall long-term setup is definitely positive for Tata Consumers, and I think this is the phase of consolidation in it. There's a very high probability that Tata Consumer forms a triangle or a triangular pattern on a long-term charts. For that, 735 to 690 range on the downside would be a good support level, whereas on the upside it can inch towards the levels of 850, 875. So it can consolidate within this band of say 690, 875 for a couple of weeks or months going forward, and thereafter eventually provide a breakout because this is a wave for consolidation. But that overall long-term trend is positive for Tata Consumer, so one can keep adding. And if someone is a range-bound trader, Nandita, then 850 is the level to watch out for. I mean, whenever it comes near those levels, one can book profits.
Right. Next one is also coming in on a Tata Group stock. Subir Mandal has written in, and he wants your view on Tata Power. Now, the stock has given a decent 6% return over the last 1 month or so. In fact, even in yesterday's session, it was pretty much in the positive territory. What is the chart saying on this one, Jay?
Well, Nandita, after 8 consecutive positive close on Tata Power, we in the June quarter we saw that it closed for the negative in the negative territory for the first time, and it retraced also almost like I would say 38% of his entire bull market rally, and now in phase again. So I think that Tata Group entirely is into the consolidation phase. I mean, you look at Tata Steel, we just discussed Tata Consumers, Tata Power, maybe even Tata Motors or TCS. Maybe they are into a sideways to negative trend right now. I think that this can continue to do so. I mean, as of now, the overall momentum has shifted to auto and maybe banking. These are the two sectors wherein we are seeing a good move, and thereafter FMCG as well. So Tata Power, I think, would consolidate within a range of say 255 to 200 for at least a couple of weeks.
Right. The next one is coming in from Sanjay Chaudhary, and he wants your view on Canara Bank. Well, the stock has made some spectacular moves, gaining somewhere around, I think, 40% over the last 30% or so, I stand corrected, over the last 1 month. Strong upside on this chart as well, Canara Bank?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Nandita. I mean, 305 is the immediate target on Canara Bank. I mean, that is what one can expect in the short term. I mean, overall trend is absolutely positive. In fact, it has provided a breakout from an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is a bullish reversal pattern. The support, however, for the same is far from the current levels, is pegged at 257. So the risk reward will not match for the short term traders. So any dip should be utilized as a buying opportunity. Those who are already holding long, can continue to do so for the short term target of 305. Going forward thereafter, 305 to 310 levels, Nandita, would be an important level to watch out for. I mean, till those levels aren't taken off, it can consolidate a bit. Above the levels of 305 to 10, it can just zoom, till the levels of 400 or plus levels. So overall, long-term setup is absolutely positive. Short-term risk reward is not favorable for fresh longs, but those who are already holding can continue to do so, and buy on dip should be the strategy.
Buy on dip should be the strategy for Canara Bank. Now, moving on, I would like to bring in a query on Nykaa. Rahul Das has written in, and he wants to know whether he should look at buying it at current levels. We know that the stock is in fact has slipped below its IPO price. In fact, even the anchor lock-in will be ending pretty soon. Would you have any view on this stock?
Well, no, Nandita, it was the first long day for Nykaa after a sharp decline, which we saw, from the levels of 1400. I mean, slipped below the levels of, as far as I know, below the levels of 1000 as well, and then quickly jumped back or bounced back, and now it closed around the levels of 1152. So this bounce can continue till 1265, 1300 maybe. It can be a short-term bounce. But then overall, confirmation for the medium to long term is not there. Even for the short term, I would not recommend this because there's not much of indication either on the momentum front or maybe on the price action front. It's just one long day.
Right. Sandeep K has written in, and he wants your views on Bharat Dynamics. Would it make sense to make a fresh entry on this stock?
Let's see. Overall, defense sector has been doing good. I mean, either you take HAL or BDL, and Mazgaon Dock or Cochin Shipyard, or so they are from different segments. But then overall sector is well focused and has been trending higher. I mean, had remained immune from this overall downtrend to consolidation in the major broader indices. And the chart of BDL is same as that of HAL. I mean, HAL slowly and steadily moved higher, and similarly BDL is also doing same. So overall trend is positive. I would say till this trend continues to remain positive, or till we continue to see this high top high bottom formation, one can continue to hold long, and one can in fact buy fresh as well. The stop loss would be at 830. For the medium term traders, it's a good buy, and it's a trending stock, so continue holding it till the trend reverses.
Right. Well, that wraps up our query segment for today. Just want to tell our viewers, if you have any queries, do send them in to us with the hashtag AskMC, and we will have them addressed by our expert on the show. But before we let you go, Jay, I would like to know what are you recommending for our viewers this morning?
Sure, Nandita, I have two buy recommendations. The first buy recommendation is on trend. Now, this stock has provided a breakout from a symmetrical triangle pattern, and the target on the upside comes to 1660, and thereafter 1700. These are each two short-term targets. One can place a stop loss of 1400 and go long on trend. The risk reward is absolutely positive out there. And second buy recommendation is on cement, one of the cement stock, that is JK Cement. Now we saw this entire sector, performing or trending higher in yesterday's trading session, and overall momentum out here is quite bullish. In fact, the large cap stocks like Ultratech also moved quite sharply, and we saw a good long build up out there. But then JK Cement is offering a good risk reward at current levels. One can buy this for a targets of 29.30 to 31.30. 2930, 3130 as short-term targets. One can place a stop loss at 25.30.
Well, Trent and JK Cement are the two stocks that are being recommended by Jay. Well, with that, thanks a lot for joining in, Jay. We look forward to having you on the show once again sometime. Well, with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Morning Trade, but don't go anywhere because coming up next is Markets with Santo and CJ.